Hey everyone, Nerd Day Mark here, and it's time to go over Kamen Rider Geats episode 9. I am very excited because I enjoyed this episode, and our first real full Desire Grand Prix is finished. Before I get into the episode, look what I got. That's right, I got my Kamen Rider Geats patch from K20 Customs, as well as some others. If you've seen on social media, I actually have the whole main Rider Reiwa cast. Working on a project with that's gonna be great when it's finished. But also, before that, K20 has actually been my guest on this week's episode of A Nerd Named Mark podcast that is going live on Saturday, the 5th. We talk Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, a whole bunch of stuff, patches. Like, second time he's been on the show, so I'm really excited for this episode. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see when that video goes live, and also on audio listening platforms as well. But let's not waste any time. This is our first. It's bittersweet with episode 9. This is the first episode we get without Kawa, doing his little vlog and, giving us a recap. Instead, we had Neon narrating the recap, and we see everyone in the main little platform area where Sumari informs them that the game has not ended. We get on the screen that the game area is expanding, and now the main Jamato boss has actually swallowed his monster energy drink can. And now, that's new game is you have to destroy the can, not kick the can. And this is actually told because the game master finally appeared in front of everybody. So in order to do this, they have to destroy the can, but the only way this can happen is by them nurturing some eggs so they hatch, and what is inside these eggs will give them the edge they need to win the game. And I'm just like, this is interesting. But the main thing is, if you do a good job raising the egg, so right off the bat, I'm like, okay, so what if you do a bad job? What do you get? Do you get like a low tier item? And then if you raise them good, you get a better top tier item. Obviously, we find out by the end of the episode that kind of is the case to an extent. So there's not a lot like going on, like, per se. Like, the Jamato appear, and now the game is not only do they have to nurture the eggs, they have to protect the city as well. So we see all these different ways that they're actually protecting their eggs. Ace is very coddling with it, talking to it, kind of giving it a pep talk, whereas Azuma just doesn't, like, he's just like, oh, it's an egg, it'll hatch on its own, and he just puts it down and starts fighting Jamato. Whereas Nan has like a little sling, and she's, kind of protecting it as much as she can. And there's this funny scene where Ace is literally talking to the egg, like holding it up, showing the egg to the boss, like showing the boss to the egg, and just talking to, like, I need you to hatch, like, you're gonna be the one I need you to defeat it. Your mission is to defeat this boss. And even Buff was like, is he talking to the egg? Like, what the hell? And even I was like, this is kind of weird, but entertaining. There's a whole scene where he actually throws the egg up in the air and does his little multiplicity ninja attack where he's fighting all the Jamato, and then he jumps up to the chest, and he's the first one to discover where the can is located inside the boss, which is right above his chest. There's a little narrow area. The phone actually alerts that he cleared a secret mission, which was be the first to discover where the can is. And we finally saw the phone transform into the spider, which I don't think has happened yet, but obviously if you've seen the DX toy for the phone, you know the spider phone transforms. And it just drops down, gives him his mission box, which is the boost buckle, which I'm now have, like, how many times is the boost buckle going to be in the mission boxes? I think that's all but one time, except for the first game where they had to defeat Jamato to get their first buckle. But other than that, the boost buckle always seems to be the secret mission reward, which I'm wondering if that trend's going to carry through. So now they're all just chilling back at the lounge, and we see more of how they're raising their eggs. You have Neon's egg actually hatches first, and she's given the propeller buckle, which it looked cool. Like, The little buckles, I'm not really a big fan of. I'm getting all the Legend Rider ones, but I'm not getting any of those. And from the raised buckle standpoint, like Zombie and Boost and Magnum, obviously I have those three. I didn't pick up the Ninja one, but I want to. I'm not sure if I'm going to go that heavy into gimmicks. I do like, the Legend ones because they're smaller, they're easy to display, and they're not that expensive. So I'm hoping to kind of avoid too many gimmicks from Geats. But after that, Buff is sitting there and he's literally tapping his egg on the table. And even the butler's just like, "What do you got to be gentle, this, that." But his egg actually hatches and he's given the drill buckle. And I'm like, so both of them got the smaller size buckles. So I'm like, well, is it because they kind of rushed to hatch their eggs and like they just wanted it over and done with? Because Ace's egg still hasn't hatched yet. And he even said it's a late bloomer and sleep is the key to a healthy upbringing. So I feel like he already knew you have to nurture it. If you nurture the egg right and everything else, the longer it takes, the better item you're going to get. And also, we can't have Ace always being nice. He has to go full douchey mode and tells Azuma and Neon they should stay behind and leave the boss to him, as if they die, that's it. It's game over for them. And they're better off and safe staying at the lounge. And obviously, Neon and Azuma both disagree, and they say that they aren't backing down because, of how far they've gotten. You have this is the risk and the reward to get what you desire, which I think is, once again, just Azuma's really drawn, like, his character wise, like, I thought he was just like the antagonist to Ace. But Azuma's actually been like really good. Like, I think he's probably one of my favorites up there, especially if Keiwa's not going to be on the show right now. Like, because I miss Keiwa, honestly. I miss Tycoon so much. So then we get Neon outside just doing one last live stream, so to speak. And she even says it might be her last one. And she says she can't go into detail, which is a nice loophole to not bring up the DGP at all, because that is against the rules, but that she is going into battle with her life at stake. And I thought that was really cool that they're showing the gravity of just how beastly this boss is and the risk that's really happening now. Because let's face it, earlier on there's a lot of jokiness in the earlier rounds, but now that it's the final three and there's a chance you die, you're done, and you never get the chance to come back and do the DGB because you're just gone, you're dead, you don't even get to go back to your normal life. So on top of that, we see Azuma walking, and Turu starts talking to him and says not to push himself and that it's okay to forget about him. And obviously this was all in Azuma's head. He even said you better make the world that you want a reality. I think it's a really nice touch to kind of keep Turu as a character still in our minds as viewers, because Azuma, that's a part of Azuma's motivation. Then Ace up there on the roof, shadow boxing and training, and talking to the egg. And once again, he also questions why his egg still won't hatch yet. So it was a nice touch. Whenever they're in the lounge area and they're not in the actual DGP games themselves, I really like the subtle, even if it's like a 2-minute clip or this and that, the character building, the depth that they're adding, and subtle nuances for what it is worth for the show. And now the game is back up again. I liked the scene when they got back into it, because we saw Buffa and Nago just in front of all these Jamatos and the boss right there. We finally got to see their henshin with the new gimmicks they got. I must say, I do like the combo of zombie with drill. The propeller one looks nice. I don't know, like some of the weapon ones, like I don't really get too hyped for them, because obviously the raised buckles are the ones that are like the drastic form chains that are really cool. But they got some cool attacks. Like there's one point where we see Neon is getting like completely overwhelmed by Jamato, and she finally uses the propeller and it spins. She knocks them all over the place and flies up. And I'm like, oh, she could fly with it. I was like, well, it is a propeller, but it's also her weapon, which was cool. We see Buffa and Neon kind of do like a combo attack. Buffa does the zombie drill victory, as well as Neon doing the propeller victory attack. They both miss the weak point, and I had a little chuckle because the boss knocked them away and it did the little poof of dust and everything. Right as he's about to be attacked, Ace shows up and makes a save from some Dramatos, and Buffa even says, and Ace is just talking about, like, let him handle it this again. Like always, Ace is always like, let me handle it. I feel like it's a backhanded thing where he doesn't care about their safety when he says stuff like that. He wants to win, and if he can get other people not to partake in the mission, it's easier for him to win, obviously. And Buffa even says, don't you know zombies thrive best when near death? And he hits the revolve on the driver, goes into zombie on the legs, drill, or zombie up top, drill on the bot. And I was just like, okay. And we get him, still fighting. And he even says no matter how many times he gets beaten down, that he'll keep fighting. And even if he dies, he'll live on. And I was like, damn. I was like, Buffa's out here with these nice monologues. I was like, maybe he's the protagonist, even though technically they're all Kamen Rider. But it's like one of those situations where, like, I kind of start rooting for him, even though his wish is something I really don't want to see yet. It's too early in the season. If he gets his wish later on, I'm curious what kind of power he would get to destroy all Kamen Riders. So the boss ends up doing this attack, and it hits Ace, and Buffa takes the brunt of it, and he's like, once again falling down. You think he's out, kind of like when Kawa kept getting up before he got the ninja buckle. And Bubba says stuff like bravery and recklessness, who cares, I won't lose. And even Ace says that you're right. And the boss goes in for the final attack. Ace holds up the egg and blocks the attack, which made for a great visually appealing scene. I kind of cracked up a little bit. I was kind of laughing just slightly because I was just like, the egg, just holding the egg and stuff like that. But then the egg finally hatched, and when it hatches, it knocks the boss back, and we get the monster buckle. And I really love how it looks, especially when you see the suit. I love the yellow and blue aesthetics on it. Like the colors looked really good. I thought that was actually pretty good. And then he goes for his final hit, his only attack he does, and it's this massive punch, and it crushes the chest and the can, and Ace is now our desired deity. And I was like, okay, so Ace wins. I kind of figured, given one, we don't know what Ace's wishes is, but I figured we weren't gonna see Buffa win, because I feel like if he won, that would make a whole new arc of him kind of becoming the villain to destroy the Kamen Riders. And I feel like that would be a great arc if we do get it down the road where he wins. And Neon's wish for finding true love and this and that seems like something that would happen towards the end of the show, because if she wins, then she doesn't need to be at the Desire Grand Prix anymore. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I'd be okay with both of their wishes happening later on, especially Nan's toward the end of the show, but Buffa maybe two-thirds of the way through, or towards like the latter half, just so we can have a whole arc where he's kind of like the main antagonist and maybe goes crazy from the power. One of the cool things, after everything's done, we see Punk Jack appear, and he even says that's very impressive. So he can talk, and then he sees, and then he like dehensions, and I was like, well then. And he even says he can't wait for the next Desire Grand Prix, and I'm like, I thought he was at NBC. Why didn't he talk before? So I have so many questions for how this is gonna go. And then Ace tells Buffa, if you don't lose, because Buffa asks why, he saved him this and that, and he's like, yeah, if you don't lose, you get another chance to win. And even Ace brings up that like Buffa's pep talk is what he needed for the egg to like learn an unyielding and persevering heart. So basically, he's like, thanks, Buffa. Your talk helped my egg hatch so I could win. It's refreshing to see a main protagonist like act like this. It's been long overdue. So I've been really enjoying this. But sadly, because Buffa has been retired, not eliminated or disqualified, so he can return again, this counts as a 0.5 yeet, but I'm not going to put the count on the screen yet, because shortly after this, Nan walks over, and she literally says, she walks over, she says a few things about her wish, and then she is retired as well, which means we had 2 retired Kamen Riders this this episode, which brings our count from 4, because they're only 0.5 each, to 5. 5 yeets so far. And after all this, Sumari is looking at Ace's desire card, and she does not look happy. And even the game master says, like, why don't you look happy? The world has been saved. And she says, this is not a world and wish that should be granted. And even the game master is just like, well, the winner should be compensated appropriately. And we see Ace now. He's like standing, in the rubble, smiling as everything around him is being rebuilt. And then towards the end of the episode, the game master is in the lounge. He walks over, sits down, removes his mask, so we get a face reveal. And he says, Ace, show me what lies beyond the world you seek. And I was just like, I was like, oh, this is a really good episode. Ace won this, that. But I'm like, I want to know what was written on the card. I really do. And I was like, damn, like, And the episode ends with another DGP rule. It states, when a desired deity's wish is granted, the world is remade and the people's memories are reset. So that was the episode. I liked it. I think there was a lot of fun with this one, with the whole eggs, nurturing side of things. I'm kind of glad the game is over. It was good. We had a lot of good characters. I'm looking forward to the next DGP. We've already seen scans and everything of who's going to be in it, so that's really exciting. I'm wondering what's going to go on with Kawa and Sarah, because, like, I really want them to continue to be in the show, so I'm not 100% sure even what's going to happen with that. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think Kawa's going to come back? What do you think what do you think Ace wished for? Because that's what I'm curious about, because everyone else was, like, freely just telling, we got what everyone else wanted to wish. We saw their cards with flashback sequences of them writing it. Ace is the only one we didn't get to see. So I'm really curious about what that's going to be. With that being said, I thank you guys for watching. Once again, hit the subscribe button. Well, I passed 800 subscribers. I thank every single one of you. Next week, there are no candy toy blogs or anything like that, so I am going to have a video that I already recorded reviewing the Soto Geats ID1 lineup, as well as the Soto Chronicles Kabuto later on in the week as well. And obviously, I said I have the K20 guest spot podcast coming live on the channel tomorrow, and I have some other things as well throughout the week. So make sure you subscribe so you can see all that stuff and like the video. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.